So today we'll be reviewing my favorite film of the Saw trilogy since I've only seen the first three, Saw 2. This movie is actually great. I like it better than the first one. So we start off with a detective who is on the Jigsaw case. He finds one of his informants that has been killed. He was placed in one of Jigsaw's traps and he failed to get out of it. And he had like a giant, you know, it's like a face mask that had like spikes inside of it, and that's what killed him. So he goes to investigate, or he finds out that the trap, the steel that made the trap came from a steel factory nearby. So he goes to the factory. He finds John Kramer there, and John Kramer says to the officer that he has an even more bigger problem. So he shows him a video monitor, and the officer's son is there. Now the officer he's had a difficult family relationship. He had an affair with his wife, and he told his son to get lost in the beginning of the movie. So his son he apparently got kidnapped, and he's in some type of they're in like an abandoned apartment building, and each room is booby trapped. So he's trapped in there with like five other people. But it's not just five other people that the son is trapped with. Those five other people are ex-convicts, and they all had the same arresting officer. And that arresting officer is that son's dad. So the dad, he's freaking out. He wants to kill John Kramer. Wants to know where his son is at. So he has to answer a bunch of riddles and questions of where his son is at. So we go to the trap house. Right, there's like five individuals there, and the tensions there. They get intense. One thing that I like about this movie, there's a lot of intensity. They don't get along, and only like two of them make it out. One person he gets shot to death in the face trying to unlock a door. That's like that's like the beginning part of that scene. One guy gets burnt to death. One of the subjects kills another subject with a baseball bat with spikes in it. Another person dies to the poisonous gas that's in the building. Another person gets caught in one of Kramer's traps, and the trap pretty much slits her wrist so she bleeds to death. And then the subject that killed the guy with the baseball bat, he tries to kill the officer's son, but the officer's son, he kills him by slitting his throat with a knife. So two people made it out, and that was the officer's son and Amanda, who was the victim in the first film. So she's back to play again. So after like an hour and a half of John Kramer not giving up any answers, the cop beats him senseless. Alright, Kramer, he does tell him where his son is at technically, but he tells him that his son is in a safe place. So Kramer, the officer, he's portrayed by Donnie Wahlberg, they go to the trap house. So he's looking for his son. They bring in the SWAT team. They're also in the house. And then there's a twist. The support team finds out at the steel factory that the video feed they were watching was not live. It was pre-recorded. So everything that happened in the trap house has already happened. So Donnie Wahlberg, he's just there all alone. So he goes through all these hallways and rooms, and he eventually ends up in the torture chamber that was used in the first film. So he's looking for his son there. He goes to a bathtub, sees an arm sticking out, and then there's like someone with a pig mask on them. The pig person injects Donnie Wahlberg some type of drug, he passes out. And then we get a twist. The person that was wearing the pig mask is Amanda, and Amanda is revealed to be John Kramer's accomplice. So he's locked inside the chamber where he's left to die. So then we go back to the steel factory. The timer goes off, and a safe opens up. You know, a safe like a bank safe. You know, stuff that you keep your money and supplies in, your jewelry in. Yeah, type in the code, the door opens up. Guess who's inside it? It's Donnie Wahlberg's son. So Donnie Wahlberg's son was in a literal safe. He was in a literal safe. He was in a literal safe. Kramer said his son was in a safe place. He didn't lie. His son was in a literal safe. John Kramer played Donnie Wahlberg like a fool. And that's why Saw 2 is better than the first film. Right? The plot makes sense after watching the first film. Right? There's a lot more gore. There's a lot more blood. A lot more violence. A lot more intensity than the first two. The traps, they're bigger, they're better. Some people out there don't like that stuff. And yeah, Saw 2 did kind of stray away from the first film. But I don't mind all the gore and violence. It's not as long as it's not excessive. If you're just doing it to show off, I have a problem. But if the gore and the violence goes along with the story, I don't mind it. But Saw 2, I love it. I think it's probably the best so far that I've seen. I think it's the best of the trilogy. I'll see what my thoughts are on Saw 3 tomorrow, but Saw 2, I have to give it a 10 out of 10. I think this film is great from top to bottom. I have no negatives with the film. Some people might, but I think Saw 2 is definitely an improvement over the first film, and you get a lot more broader look and perspective at what Saw truly is. This has been your Saw 2 review.